Adventure Small World in Animation. Welcome to Animation World. Animation World presenting.
This is going to be a demonstration using motion tweens to create a bouncing ball effect. The first thing I want to do is I want to grab my oval tool and I want to hold shift, click and drag to keep the constraints, and then I go ahead and I just delete the outline of it. I'm going to grab my gradient or my paint bucket tool and change it to a circular gradient. So this way it adds some type of depth to the ball, gives it a little bit of lighting, some shadow. And I grab my arrow tool. I'm going to change the name of the layer to ball. I am also going to create a new layer called ground. And I'm going to drag that underneath the ball. Select the line tool, hold shift to keep it a horizontal line. And now I've got my ball layer and my ground layer. I'm going to go out to about 80 frames, right click, and I'm going to go to insert frame. I'm going to lock my ground layer. I'm going to right click on the ball layer, create motion tween, and then it's going to ask you to convert to a symbol. Click OK. I'm going to rename my symbol. It's always a good practice to do. MOV underscore ball, because it's a movie symbol. And now the layer is a motion tween, and I can begin to make adjustments and change the position of this ball. Go ahead and grab your selection tool. I went out to about 10 frames, and I'm just placing the ball at about every 10 frames. I'm not too concerned with weight and timing at this moment. I'm just trying to get the effect I need. So yeah, about every 10 frames, go ahead and make your ball bounce. Frame that you need it to, and I'm going to have mine bounce off of the screen. So it's going to start off the screen and finish off the screen, so it looks like it's just bouncing across. Off the stage, excuse me. So I'm just making a minor adjustment here on frame 60. And then the great thing about the motion tween, go ahead and play it. One, you can just click and drag and it creates all the in-betweens for you. The other thing is you can start to make some changes to the actual motion path of this bouncing ball. So go ahead and you'll notice there's a little curvature line underneath the arrow, and you can begin to bend your path, which is really nice. It makes it much easier for you. You don't have to go in there frame by frame and adjust the position of the in-betweens. It just does it for you. So you can go ahead and just start bending that path, and you'll start to get the more of a rounded bounce, more realistic styled bounce. And do this for all of them. And then the next thing you can do, you can start to change the position of the height. You'll see the right angle underneath it, and that will allow you to just change the height of it. Well, you can also move it horizontally, but you don't really want to do that unless you absolutely need to. I'm just going to go ahead and play with these to make the ball bounce a little bit more realistic. So now we've got that. And go ahead and play it, make sure it looks good. So you got your bouncing ball. Now I want you to insert keyframe on the frames that you've already moved it. You'll see the little diamond. That's initially your keyframe for it, but you want to make sure you go over each diamond and on the timeline, right click, insert keyframe, and then select all. By doing this, you're going to save yourself a headache by the ball will not the constraints will be the same size once we start adding the squash and stretch effect in, and you won't have any issue with the ball being a different size or shape on each key pose of this bouncing ball. So go ahead and right click on each one, insert keyframe all. It's very important that you do that. Okay, and then just go ahead and scrub it to make sure that there's no issues with it. It's always good to do that, scrub it every once in a while to make sure nothing funny happened. Some things, by doing something, it may adjust the animation in earlier frames, so it's always good to double check. I'm going about, probably going to do 2 frames ahead of it. I'm going to insert keyframe all on each contact point where the ball makes contact with the ground. And do exactly what we just did. Just do it 2 frames before and 2 frames after each contact point. And insert keyframe. Oh, I didn't need my 2 extra keyframes there. I'm just going to Control Z those 2. Only needed on the contact points. Insert keyframe all. Extremely important that you do this on each point where you want to make adjustments to this ball. So with the squash and stretch effect, we will be making some adjustments to the size and the position of this ball. Go ahead and play it. Well, not yet. We're going to make adjustments to the ball. So here's your first squash and stretch. So just before, and then the contact point, you're going to squash and stretch it horizontally. By doing this, here you're going to squash and stretch it vertically, and this just makes it appear like a bouncing ball, like a rubber ball or something. And as it's falling to the contact point, it's gonna pick up momentum, so it might stretch a little bit. It's a little cartoony for this, but that's what we're going for right now. And then squash and stretch it on the contact point, reposition it so it's on the ground line. Go ahead and squash and stretch it on the way up, so you get this bouncing ball effect. Squash and stretch it on the diamond just before the contact point vertically. Here you're going to squash and stretch it horizontally and reposition so it's on the ground line. And then squash and stretch, and do this for each one. Go Go ahead and adjust the position of it. And one more. So now you have your bouncing ball. Go ahead and play it. Make sure it's looking like a bouncing ball. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna show you how to move frames. So if you want to adjust the timing of it or anything, so I'm going to click on the diamond, click and drag, and you'll notice a little dotted square box, and that allows you to slide it left and right. I'm just taking my squash and stretch just before the contact, and I'm making it one frame just before contact. So if you wanted to adjust the weight and timing of any of the entire animation, you can start playing around with that. But there's your bouncing ball. It's the motion tween makes it much easier to do versus having to do all the in-betweens manually. And just export it as a SWF. Control Enter to do that, and you got your bouncing ball. So that's about it for the bouncing ball motion tween.
If you like the video, please subscribe and click on the like button. Also share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And check the description for more video and amazing offer on animation book.